shadows behind her smile. I still remember the first time I saw her, Lena. She walked into the coffee shop like she owned the place, her smile bright enough to light up the darkest room. I was instantly drawn to her, that rare kind of magnetic pull you don't question, you just follow. We started talking, and before I knew it, she was part of my world. We were inseparable. I thought I'd found someone who understood me, someone I could trust. But trust is fragile. And sometimes, the person you trust the most is the one who will shatter it completely. It all started with little things. She'd cancel plans last minute, disappear for hours without a word, and laugh off my concerns like I was being paranoid. I told myself to trust her. But deep down, a knot of doubt twisted tighter every day. Then one night, I found the message. Not on her phone. No, I wasn't that careless. But in a conversation I overheard when she thought I was asleep. Her phone buzzed. A message preview flashed. Can't wait to see you again tonight. You're everything she isn't. My heart stopped. Who was he? And what did she mean by she? The next days were a whirlwind of questions and denial. I confronted her. She laughed. Lena, you're imagining things. You're just insecure. But I wasn't. I dug deeper. Found secret meetings, whispered phone calls, the unmistakable scent of someone else on her clothes. When I finally confronted her again, the truth exploded between us. She admitted everything, not out of guilt, but with a twisted pride. Lena, I was bored. You were too predictable. He makes me feel alive. That punch to the gut still hurts to remember. From there, things spiraled. She didn't just cheat. She humiliated me, showed our friends pictures of me crying, made jokes about my weakness, told everyone I was clingy, crazy, obsessed. I was the villain in her story, the joke, the punchline. But the worst part? The part that haunts me every day. She made me believe it was all my fault. The revelation hit me like a freight train. Lena wasn't just cheating. She was tearing me down piece by piece, turning my world upside down while smiling right in my face. After her confession, the twisted pride in her voice made me want to disappear, to vanish from everyone's sight. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I was suffocating. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it felt physical, like a knife twisting in my chest every time I thought of her with someone else. I tried talking to my friends about it, hoping they'd support me. But when I told them what she'd done, and how she was spinning the story to make me look like the bad guy, some of their faces changed. They looked uncertain, awkward, like they didn't know who to believe. Some even started avoiding me. Jake, my best friend. Man, I don't know what to say. Lena's been acting weird, but I never thought she'd do something like that. Me. She's the one who's been playing us all. She's been lying to everyone. Jake. I don't know, bro. It's complicated. Feeling more isolated by the day, I began to doubt myself. Was I really clingy or crazy? Was I the problem? The seeds of self-doubt she planted started growing in my mind, twisting my thoughts. Lena's games didn't stop there. She made sure everyone heard about my breakdowns, how I cried, how I begged her to stay. She painted me as desperate, pathetic. One night, I walked into a party she was at, hoping to confront her and finally get some answers. Instead, I was met with laughter, her friends mocking me, calling me names. Lena laughing. Look who can't handle a little truth. Crybaby. Her friend. Did you bring tissues, or should we get her some? The humiliation was suffocating. I wanted to run and never come back. But beneath the mockery, there was a quiet, burning fire inside me, the realization that I deserved better. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't weak. I was a man who had been betrayed and betrayed alone. I started to fight back, not by yelling or throwing blame, but by reclaiming my story. I told a few trusted friends the truth, not sugar-coated. I wrote down my feelings, poured my soul into letters I never sent. I saw a therapist to unpack the mess inside me. Healing was slow, painful, and sometimes it felt impossible. But every day, I took one step away from her shadow. One night, I deleted all the pictures, messages, and reminders of her from my phone. It wasn't about erasing the past. It was about making space for a future where I didn't have to carry her lies anymore. I'm not sure if I'll ever fully trust again, but I'm learning that love shouldn't hurt like this. That sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is walk away. And most importantly, that no one should ever make you doubt your own worth. The weeks that followed felt like waking up from a long nightmare, only to realize the scars it left were still there, raw and aching. I kept reminding myself, I was not the person she painted me to be. I wasn't weak or crazy. I was the victim of a betrayal so deep it almost broke me, but it didn't. I started to rebuild my life piece by piece. It wasn't easy. Some days, the weight of loneliness pressed down so hard I couldn't breathe. Other days, I found myself laughing again, sometimes at stupid jokes, sometimes at moments of hope. I focused on the things that had nothing to do with her, my work, my music, my friends who truly cared. I began journaling, writing letters I'd never sent, pouring everything out, the anger, the heartbreak, the shattered trust. It helped, somehow, to put my pain into words. One night, I went out with friends to a bar. I wasn't looking for anything, just trying to distract myself. Then I saw her across the room, Lena, laughing with that same group of people who once made me feel small. Her smile was as bright and fake as ever. My heart hammered in my chest. For a moment, I was frozen, overwhelmed by the memories and the hurt. But then something inside me snapped, not with anger, but with calm strength. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw past the surface, the lies, the cruelty, the betrayal. I turned away and walked out of that bar, leaving the past exactly where it belonged. Weeks later, I received a message from someone new, a woman named Claire. She was kind, genuine, and patient. Our conversations were easy, laughter natural. I found myself opening up to her slowly, letting trust build like a fragile bridge over a river I once thought too dangerous to cross. With Claire, I learned that love didn't have to hurt, that trust could be restored, not in the same way, but in a new one. Sometimes, I still catch myself wondering what might have been with Lena. But then I remember the lies, the betrayal, and the pain, and I know I'm better off without her. I'm not healed completely. Maybe I never will be. But I found a new strength in my scars, a reminder that I survived the storm, that I walked away when it mattered most, and that I'm worthy of a love that doesn't come with shadows behind the smile. After months of rebuilding, a fragile calm settled over me, but beneath the surface, questions still gnawed relentlessly. Why did she do it? How could someone I trusted so deeply betray me with such coldness? The answers never came directly from her. She had vanished from my life like a ghost, leaving only pain and confusion in her wake. One afternoon, while sorting through old boxes, I stumbled upon a letter I hadn't seen before. It was folded neatly, written in her handwriting. My hands trembled as I opened it. Lena, in the letter. If you're reading this, I'm gone. Maybe you'll hate me. Maybe you won't understand. I'm sorry for the pain I caused. I wasn't strong enough to be the person you deserved. I hope someday you'll find someone better. Her words hit me harder than any confrontation. Not because of the apology, it felt hollow, like an excuse, but because it was the first time I heard her admit something. The first time she seemed human, vulnerable. That letter sparked a storm of conflicting emotions, anger, sadness, pity. I realized she wasn't just a villain in my story, she was flawed, scared, and broken in her own way. That didn't excuse what she did, but it gave me a sliver of peace. I folded the letter back carefully and placed it in a box labeled Past. It was time to let go, not because I forgot, but because I chose to stop carrying the weight. From that day, I focused more on forgiveness, not for her sake, but for mine. Forgiving the betrayal didn't mean accepting it. It meant freeing myself from the chains of bitterness. The journey ahead was still uncertain. Healing isn't a straight path. But with every step, I was moving closer to a future where my heart could finally breathe again. The days turned into months, and slowly, the raw edges of my pain began to dull. Life had started to regain some color, but the shadows of what happened with Lena never fully disappeared. They lingered at the corners of my mind, a reminder of lessons learned the hard way. One evening, as I walked through the city streets alone, the cool night air filled my lungs and calmed the storm inside me. I realized something important. The betrayal, the humiliation, the heartbreak, they shaped me, but they would not define me. I had a choice, to be consumed by anger and bitterness, or to rise above it. I decided to write again, this time not just songs of sorrow but of strength and survival. Words flowed from me with a new purpose, to share my story, to remind others who felt broken that they could heal too. In the quiet of my room, I opened my laptop and typed the first lines of a blog post. Betrayal cuts deep. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about love and trust. But even in the darkest moments, there is a spark of hope. Healing is possible. You are not alone. Publishing the post was scary. Exposing my vulnerability felt like standing naked in front of the world. But the response was overwhelming, messages from strangers who shared their own stories of pain and survival, offering support and solidarity. Through that connection, I found a new purpose beyond myself. My pain became a bridge to others. I realized that sometimes, the deepest wounds can lead to the strongest bonds. Though Lena's betrayal once shattered me, it ultimately became the catalyst for my growth. I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was a survivor, a storyteller, a man reclaiming his life, one day at a time. And maybe, someday, I'd find love again, not because I needed it, but because I was ready to give it freely, without fear or doubt. The months that followed the moment I decided to share my story online marked a turning point in my life, one that no heartbreak, no betrayal could have prepared me for. What started as a desperate attempt to process my pain slowly grew into a purpose far greater than myself. Every time I typed out the raw, trembling truth of what Lena did, I felt a little lighter. The heavy weight inside me loosened, replaced by a flicker of hope. At first, I expected only a handful of people to read what I wrote, maybe some sympathy from friends or a few strangers. Instead, my story reached hundreds, then thousands. Messages poured in from people I'd never met, from all over the world. They shared their own wounds, their own betrayals, and how they too struggled with the aching scars left behind. Some thanked me for giving words to feelings they couldn't express. Others asked for advice, for comfort. Slowly, I realized I was not alone, and neither were they. One message stood out, a message from a woman named Sarah. She wrote, "Sarah, reading your story made me feel seen. I was in a relationship where I was the one betrayed. Your words gave me strength to walk away. Thank you." Her message touched me deeply. Here I was, still raw and healing, and yet my pain was helping someone else heal too. It was surreal, almost like a lifeline thrown across the void. Over the next few months, Sarah and I exchanged messages regularly. Our conversations were honest and vulnerable, slowly weaving a fragile trust. Unlike Lena, Sarah didn't rush or demand. I learned to open up in my own time, without fear of judgment. We talked about everything, our fears, our dreams, the scars we carried. She understood the tangled mess that betrayal leaves in a person's heart. One evening, after weeks of late-night talks, Sarah sent me a message that made my heart skip. "Sarah, I want to meet you. Not as a savior or a fix, just two people who found something real after the storm." The idea terrified me. Meeting someone new after what I'd been through felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, uncertain if I'd fly or fall. But deep inside, I knew I wanted to try. Our first meeting was quiet, a simple coffee shop, soft music playing in the background. I was nervous, fumbling with my words, afraid I might say the wrong thing. But Sarah's smile was patient and warm, and as we talked, the walls I'd built around myself began to crumble. For the first time in a long time, I felt seen. Not as a broken man or a cautionary tale, but as someone worthy of kindness and connection. We didn't rush. There were no grand declarations or promises. Just two souls, cautious but hopeful, exploring the possibility of healing together. Through Sarah, I learned that trust is not a fragile glass waiting to shatter, but a seed that, when nurtured patiently, can grow stronger with time. Yet, the path wasn't perfect. Shadows of the past sometimes crept in, moments of doubt, flashes of old pain. There were days when I questioned if I was ready, if I deserved happiness. But Sarah never gave up. Her quiet support became a steady anchor in my turbulent sea. And slowly, day by day, I started to believe again, not just in love, but in myself. I realized that betrayal was not the end of my story. It was a brutal chapter, yes, but one that gave me the strength to write the next pages with courage and hope. Now, looking back, I see how far I've come. The boy who once hid his tears behind forced smiles has become a man who embraces his scars as proof of survival. The pain Lena caused still echoes sometimes, but it no longer controls me, because I've learned the hardest lesson of all. Sometimes, the darkest betrayals lead us to the brightest new beginnings. After months of cautious hope with Sarah, life started to feel like it was unfolding in colors I hadn't seen in years. We spent long afternoons wandering city streets, sharing stories not just about our past wounds, but about our dreams and silly little quirks. The laughter we found together was like balm to my soul, softening the rough edges left behind by betrayal. But healing is never linear. There were nights when the memories crashed in, unexpected and fierce. I'd wake up choking on nightmares, Lena's voice twisting in my head, the betrayal replaying in painful slow motion. Sometimes I'd find myself staring blankly at the ceiling, wrestling with the doubt that maybe I wasn't as strong as I wanted to believe. One particularly brutal night, Sarah held me as I broke down completely. "Sarah, it's okay to hurt. You don't have to be perfect for me." Those words were a lifeline. In her arms, I found permission to be vulnerable without fear. For the first time, I realized that healing didn't mean forgetting the pain. It meant letting someone walk with me through it. Our relationship wasn't perfect. There were moments of tension, misunderstandings born from old wounds and insecurities. But every argument, every silence, was a chance to rebuild trust, brick by brick. Slowly, I began to reclaim the parts of myself I thought were lost. I pursued passions I'd abandoned, writing, music, even volunteering to help others who'd been hurt. Giving back brought a new sense of purpose, reminding me that my pain had a meaning beyond just my own heartbreak. One afternoon, Sarah and I sat in the park, watching the sunlight filter through the leaves. "Sarah, you've come so far. I'm proud of you." Her words warmed me more than any sunlight could. I smiled, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time, a hope. I'm not the same boy who was shattered by betrayal. I'm a man who has walked through fire, stumbled, but kept moving forward. And though the scars remain, they remind me not of weakness, but of survival, strength, and the power of second chances.